Good morning, dear students. From today we are going to study a new chapter entitled Evolution. So in this chapter we will study evolution in details and historical perspective of evolutions and different mechanism of evolutions and classical theories of evolutions. So we start evolutions. Okay, student, to begin with evolutions, first we have a look, take a look on historical perspective of evolutions. An introduction. Darwinian evolution. Evoluto from out, volvere, to roll or unroll, of Latin origin. Etymology of the word evolutions. Now, out of all the theories in biology, evolution is the most inclusive. It is so fundamental that biology can hardly be understood without this theory of evolution. Questions of Earth's and life's origin and human nature are prehistoric. Different authorities answered these questions, but scientific inquiries of scientists, particularly that of Lamarck, Darwin, A.R. Wallace, are revolutionizing in the biological theory of evolution. Evolution is a living and unifying concept which binds all the organisms into a single chain and discloses phenomena of nature as a whole. So let us have a look of these evolutionary factors and ingredients, elements of evolutions. Number one, environment is never stable in which different organisms live. Number two, organisms have an inherent characteristic of adaptability. Number three, due to change for adaptability, new species are always better organized than their ancestors. Number four, after spreading from the place of origin, different members of some species are subjected to modification along several divergent lines. Hence, several new diverse different species got evolved from a single ancestral form or species. This is called as species formation or speciation. Number five and last is that all species of organisms had a common ancestor at some or the other time, so they are near or distant cousins, have a monophyletic genealogy from first organism. Okay, you see life history of the earth, the geological time scales of the earth. You see in the next slide I'll explain you, but here you see there are time scales. Eon is the largest time scale of the geological past of the earth, and after Eon, largest scale, era is the second last scale, second larger just scale, then period is the smallest unit and third unit of the geological time scales, and along with periods there are epoch and ages. So epoch and ages are not considered. We only study consider the period only. So we start from Eon, M-Y-A. Maya means million years ago. Eon. In Eon, you see Precambrian period has got Hadean, Archean or Protozoic, what you call division of the Eon. That is Hadean, Archean and Protozoic division. In Hadeans, this is the only just birth of Earth. Archeans, old rocks and Earth are still in the formation stage. Protozoic, just units, subunit of the Eon. Life began in sea, as sea is the cradle of all lives. Then you see the Cameronic division of the Eon are Paleozoic, Mesozoic or Cenozoic era. After Eon era, you see in era you see there are some three division of era, that is Paleozoic, Mesozoic and Cenozoic era. And these Paleozoic era is again are divided into Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Carboniferous, Permian, that is Paleozoic era. And Mesozoic era of subdivision of era is again divided as Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous. And then the last subunit of era after Paleozoic, Mesozoic or Cenozoic era is Tertiary and Quaternary subdivision of era. In this tertiary era, this is the age of mammal and related animals. In this tertiary subdivision of Cenozoic era, and Quaternary division of the Cenozoic era, we see the human evolution had taken place, and modern Homo species are Homo sapiens are in the process of evolvement. Along with all these Paleozoic, Cenozoic, Mesozoic, different animals are shown how they are appeared or evolved on the surface of the earth. You must read them yourself. For saving time, I'm just skipping this name of the animals in their relative what you call subunits of era. Again you see the same slide. Last slide is again shown in the form of a clock analogy for some key events in the earth's surface. You see that that is hidden Archeans and Proterozoic subdivision of Eon, and then all the Paleozoic, Mesozoic or Cenozoic what you call Eon of the time scales are shown, and colonization of land, animals, multicellular eukaryotes, single cell eukaryotes, and atmospheric oxygen development, and prokaryotic origin of solar system, and earth in hidden periods of the Eon of the time periods expressed in billion of years ages ago. So now you see that what you call the three domains of life in taxonomy and evolution as well. From at the extreme left you see common ancestor of all living organisms, plants and animals on this earth, and from them how the diversifications and dichotomous branching begins, and dominion of eukaryotes, domain of prokaryotes and archaeobacteria. Three domains are evolved on the surface of the earth. I need not to read in details. You can read this caption at the bottom of this diagram yourself. Now dear students, see how a species is developed, or speciation, development or evolution of the species. Summary of the species formation is that isolation is a factor in producing evolutionary changes. That is, a population is isolated in A1 or A2. This isolation separates a population A of a speciation into two or more groups. no exchange of gene occurs between the separated groups, that is A1, A2. There is a reproductive isolation. Their individuals, male or female, never can meet or sexually intercourse with each other. Mutation and natural selection force take place independently in each groups, and new species ultimately capital A and C are formed from species A. In this diagram you see original population capital A, isolating mechanism, that is mountain, oceans or breeding seasons can isolate the members of these ancestral populations, just capital A into small a, capital A1 or capital A2. Then in this two what you call subpopulations of capital A, independently, just each of them just interbreed, and mutation and selection forces just act upon them, and ultimately new species, two new species capital B and capital C are formed from capital A1 or capital A2, which are themselves evolved from original population capital A, and time scale are shown at the bottom in billion of years or million of years. Just evolving species in similar environments in similar ways is called as convergent evolution. Fossils show that past organisms differed from living organisms, that many species have become extinct, and that species have evolved over a long period of time. Fossils also documents the origin of major new groups of organisms. Evolutionary theory can explain biogeographic pattern, and you see genetic material or DNA itself, you see documents the evolutionary history of an organism or animal or plants itself. That means evolutionary history is documented in the DNA of an living organism. Well, now you see that what is monophyletic, paraphyletic and polyphyletic group of organisms. Group 1, group 2 and group 3 are just shown here as just different groups of organisms. That is, group 1 is monophyletic group of organisms, capital A, B, C are derived from number 1 ancestral group animals, so they are just clade or monophyletic group of organisms. And paraphyletic group of organisms are just shown here, D, E, F, T, E, F, just group 2 paraphyletic, just developed from original just ancestral what you call organism just 2 shown in green line, green circle. And at last you see C polyphyletic group, that is capital A, B, C and D is just shown here, as D is not included in original ancestral individuals 3, so they are polyphyletic in origin. Group 3 individuals are polyphyletic in origin. Lamarck, an early founder of evolutions. In 1809, J.B.D. Lamarck proposed his theory of evolutions, called theory of inheritance of acquired characteristics, also called as Lamarckisms. Actually a theory of evolution based on the principles that physical changes in organisms during their lifetime, such as very much greater development of an organs, an organ or a part of a structure through increased use of which could be transmitted to the offspring in the next generations. This theory is two-factor involving, number one, complexifying force that drives animals' body plan towards higher levels, organogenesis, creating diverse phyla or taxa of the organisms. Number two, an adaptive force that causes animals with a given body plan to adapt to circumstances, use and disuse, inheritance of acquired character. In this case, it is now commonly accepted that Lamarck's idea was wrong. For example, simple organisms are still detected in all varieties of life. Plus, it is now known that only mutations can cause variations such as neck length of giraffe. Neo-Lamarckism or Lamarckian inheritance is the notion which is the idea which is described in his book Philosophy Zoology, that an organism can pass on to its offspring physical characteristic that the parent's organism acquired through use or disuse during its lifetime. So Lamarck thought that the environment influences organism, bringing about changes in its habitat that involves unusual activity of an organ or a structure, and disuse slowed down activity of those organs. Number two, that the development and efficiency of organs are in proportions to use of these organs. That is, organs more in use develop more than those which are not in use in general. Number three, that all of which has been acquired during lifetime an individual, whether by environmental factors or use or disuse, is preserved by generations and transmitted to the next generation of offspring. Number four, that an existing individual is the sum total of the characters acquired by its forefathers is proceeding many generations, hence its present form is so different from ancestor that it became a new species. Some famous major examples are given in favor of Lamarck are giraffe's neck. The ancestor of African giraffes were horse-like, and according to the Lamarck, giraffe evolved its long neck because its ancestor lengthened their neck by stretching to obtain food of leaves from high branches of trees and then passed the lengthened neck to their offsprings. Over many generations, these changes accumulated to produce long necks in the modern giraffes of today. Legs of snakes. Snakes have no legs because this structure, that means legs, degenerated in evolutionary course due to disuse in crawling instead of just walking. Vestigial wings of the non-living birds, kiwi. These are running birds. Lamarck thought that the ancestor of the kiwi or flying birds, they gradually changed from aerial to terrestrial mode of locomotions, which resulted in the reduction of the wings. Vestigial organ. Vestigiality is the retention during the process of evolution of genetically determined structures or attributes that have lost some or all of their ancestral function in a given species. For example, rudimentary eyes of the deep sea fishes and cave-dwelling animals, strong claws and canine of the carnivorous, and fast-running adaptation of deers, etc., supported Lamarck's theory of inheritance of acquired characters. Assessments of the vestigiality must generally rely on comparison with homologous structure in related species of organisms. Well, now you see homologous structure versus vestigial structure. Homologous structure are those structures which have common functions but different, common origin but different functions. Common origin but different functions. For example, in the next slide you will see that hands of man, flapper of the whales, and legs of the horses or mammals, and they have common origin structurally, but their function is different. That is, hand of a human being is used for holding things, and flapper of whales for swimming, and horses just use limbs for walking or running. And contrary to this homologous structure, they are analogous structure. Analogous structure are those structure of different organisms which have different origin but common what you call function or use. For example, wing of a bird or wing of insects or arthropods are used for flying, both used for flying, but origin of the just wing of birds and origin of the wings of an insect, for example fly, is different. So vestigial structure and homologous structure you see in table, and at the bottom and human diagrams showing the vestigial structure, for example appendix, ear muscles, and body hair. So many things are just here you can read them yourself. For saving time I just skip this. Okay, mammalian forelimbs, you see I have explained that these just forelimbs of bat, whales, flapper, cats, just forelimbs or hind limbs, or human hands, and they are just structure, humerus, radius, ulna, carpals, metacarpals, flanges have the same just pattern of origins, but they have got different functions already. Now you see different organisms show developmental pattern from conception onward, after fertilization and developmental stage, or what you call ontogeny. The phase ontogeny recapitulate phylogeny. Development reflects such evolutionary history is not supported by the evidence. Here we see that fish, frog, turtle, chicken, and human beings, they are just what you see, embryos are by appearance same, but and same structural what you call evidences are shown, but later on they are differentiated in their independent species, which are against this ontogeny recapitulate the phylogeny tale, or just idea is here that fish, reptile, birds, and human embryos, all these free just 4 different species of animals. One is just class Pisces, reptiles in what you call amphibians, birds in what you call class aves, and humans in mammalia, and they are all these 4 different classes of vertebrates are showing common tail and coccyx at the tip of the just vertebral column below the anus, and gill slits are also shown in the same just 4 groups of different type of higher vertebrates. Anatomical similarities in vertebrates embryo. At some stages during their embryonic development, all vertebrates have a tail located posterior to anus, referred to as post-anal tail, as well as pharyngeal or throat arches. Descents from common ancestor can explain such similarities. So you see all the 4 major character of a vertebrate, that hollow dorsal nerve cord, notochords, pharyngeal gill slits, and post-anal tail and coccyx, all are shown here in the 4 group of higher vertebrates. Here Lamarck's giraffe. A original short-necked ancestral giraffe I have shown is a thick arrow short. This original short neck did keep stretching neck to reach leaves higher up on the tree. Number C, and went on stretching generation after generation, countless generation. The D arrow and this stretching of necks upward continued until neck of today's giraffe progressively became longer. That is summary. Neck of A giraffe just bit larger than B, has a bit larger than A, and C a bit larger than B giraffe, and D giraffe has largest neck than C, B or A, B or C. Then evolutionary time scales driven by inner need. This is driven by inner need, that is necessity of the environment and use of the organ. Here you see Darwin's versus Lamarck, long neck versus short neck. In Darwinian theory, environment is a selecting force, and in Lamarckism, environment causes, which is not accepted. Environment cannot cause, and in Darwinian, environment can select. Darwin believes that two types of giraffes existed, but the short-necked giraffes died off because they couldn't reach their food sources. Only the long-necked giraffes were able to survive and reproduce successfully. On the contrary, which is not accepted today, Lamarck believes that the giraffes continued to attempts to reach for their tree leaves, and in the time their necks increase in length, creating giraffes that we see today. That is, environment caused this. Just in the diagram, disuse could not lead to the lengthening of the necks of the giraffe, and use that led to the lengthening of the neck of the what you call giraffe, inheritance of acquired character of the Lamarck's spirit of Lamarckisms. Now, difference between Lamarckism and new Lamarckism. You see, Lamarckism is original theory and new Lamarckism is modern theory. You can yourself read these table statements. I read out just new Lamarckism. Modification of the original theory in order to make suitable to modern knowledge is called new Lamarckism. New Lamarckism doesn't give any importance to these factors. Number 3, the theory stresses on the direct effects of changed environment on the organisms. Number 4 and last statement of new Lamarckism is normally only those modifications are transferred to the next generation which influence germ cells, or where somatic cells give rise to the germ cells, which is not possible. Again, you see diagrams showing just Waddington, Lamarck's, Darwin's, Baldwin with their own what you call support and what you call pro-Lamarckism supporting, or pro-Lamarckism accept this evolutionist Darwin, support of new Lamarckian concept, support new Lamarckian concepts. You can read out this what you call statements, which is just only an hypothetical theory, not in fact, so I skip it, and if you are interested you can read it out just for information. Dear students, listen and read these lectures time and again to prepare for your exam. Attentive listening, writing, reading are the three collective ways of learning and memorizing. Nothing like good preparation with hard work. Thank you very much and good luck. Thank you again.